Hi everyone, it's Emily here and I'm back with another gel printing tutorial. This time I'll be using various Distress Oxide and Pantone Color ink pads and re-inkers to create the 2022 Pantone Color of the Year, Very Peri. I used the backgrounds to create 5 finished cards, but I won't be showing you every card from start to finish. This video focuses mostly on the gel printed backgrounds. These cards feature several Essentials by Ellen products and pattern paper by Pantone Color designs. You can find a full list of supplies in the description below and on the Ellen Hutson blog. I start by placing my 5x7" gel plate on a stencil mat. This time I'm using both the 4" and 2" brayers. I have Distress Oxide ink pads in Milled Lavender, Shaded Lilac, and Dusty Concord. I also have Pantone Color ink pads in Tranquil, Serenade, and Drive-In. In addition, I'll be using white and black acrylic paints. These are from the Amsterdam primary pack that I used in my last gel printing video. I start by adding the color directly onto the gel plate using the Distress ink pads in a random pattern. Then I use the 4" brayer to smooth out and blend the colors together. I used 80-pound Nina Solar White cardstock to pick up the color. The white bits are a result of the remnants of paint on the plate, but it adds visual interest to the print, which I love. I thought there was too much Dusty Concord on that first print, so I only used Shaded Lilac on my second print. I added black and white acrylic paint on top and used the 2" brayer to mix the ink and paints. This print has a lot of dark streaks and lines, but it's cool, so I'll keep it for the right project. For my next print, I want to pick up those remnants, so I simply add white paint, which is the secret to picking up existing texture left on the gel plate. I felt that the small brayer was leaving too many lines, so I switched to the 4" brayer to smooth out the paint. My very first background with the Distress Oxide inks was too light, so I wanted to try that combination again. I repeated this exact combination twice, using the large brayer on one and the small brayer on the other. These prints dry super fast, so I'm going to use both prints again and layer more color on top. The first one to be reprinted will have more black paint, and the second one will have more white paint. I love the color variations and remnants each sheet picks up from the previous printing. This means no two prints are the same, and that's what I love about gel printing. After 4 prints using the Distress Oxide inks, it's time to move on to the Pantone Color inks. Again, I'm applying the ink pads directly onto the gel plate, and I did check to see if there was any transfer of product on the gel plate to the ink pad. The answer is no, so you don't have to worry about ruining your ink pads. I thought this print was too much Serenade, so I added white paint and a bit more Tranquil before reprinting that previous print with this added medium. I was hoping it would lighten the Serenade, and it did just that. However, I wanted to add an ombre effect with the black paint to one half of the print, so I went ahead and used the same print a third time. For this print, I placed my inks in a line and used the small brayer from right to left only, rolling it off on scrap paper in between to preserve the individual colors as much as possible. I did reprint this a second time to add more Tranquil to the lighter half. I really love this print, and you'll see it as my first card with the angled pattern paper. I can often tell by the way the ink or paint patterns form on the gel plate whether or not I'll love the print, and this was one of them. I knew right away that I would love this one. Next, I thought I'd try using a combination of both types of inks and paints on patterned cardstock. This is a sheet of Lawn Fawn's Moonstone cardstock, but it's close to Basil's Serenity. It's bluer than Very Peri, but I thought I'd give it a try. For this first print on colored cardstock, I thought I'd use a combination of Tranquil and Shaded Lilac. It's not easy to see, so I thought I'd add black and white paint as a reprint and see how it picked up the previous product. This is pretty cool with the bits of cardstock showing through here and there. I reprinted it, which dulled the details, so I should have left it. On my second try, I left some open space, so I was happy to see more of the cardstock showing through. For my next experiment, I'm going to reprint that using the Tranquil re-inker and more white paint. I was hoping the Tranquil would blend into the white paint, but there's only a slight undertone to the white paint, changing the overall gray tone. Next, I'll use the same combination of Tranquil re-inker with black and white paint, but on white cardstock, because I really wanted to see how beautiful it looks, and I was pleasantly surprised. You can see the ink separating the white paint, and this is one of the coolest effects. I wanted to add more Very Peri to this background, so I reprinted it using shaded lilac distress oxide ink. You can see this background used on the Thanks and Stuff card with the Nordic Cross cover plate. Upon reviewing the 9 prints, it's amazing to see how I had definite preferences before seeing the footage versus my favorites afterwards. Not to worry, I have all of my prints saved for future cards. Sometimes I have visions of cards using certain backgrounds, so while they may not work for what I have in mind today, they will definitely come in handy for future ideas. Before I start creating the card elements and assembling my finished cards, I wanted to show you some of the cards I made for the last Essentials by Ellen release featuring the painted florals and the different styles I'm adopting for cards in this video. Since the backgrounds are pretty intricate and detailed, I'm going to keep the florals simple and as neutral as possible. I stamped the flowers in both Blackjack and Tranquil. I also stamped the leaves in Twilight and Blackjack, as well as die cutting them from vellum and silver cardstock. I didn't end up using the gray leaves, but I saved them for a future project. Here's a look at all the heat foiled sentiments. I heat foiled the Casual Greetings Hot Foil stamp set 3 times on both white and black cardstock. The 3 foils I used were silver, aurora, and speckled prism, so I would have a choice from both the type of silver I wanted plus a white or black background. Here are some clips of me assembling and putting the finishing touches on the 5 cards. I hope you enjoyed watching me make these gel printed backgrounds inspired by the 2022 Pantone Color of the Year, Very Peri. Once the rest of the card elements have been stamped and die cut, it's so easy to assemble all these color coordinated cards. I hope you're inspired to make your own. You can find a detailed supply list in the description below, or you can find a full visual supply list on the blog. Thanks so much for watching!